Accountability for All sent Robert Brown. Tell him what's up.
I can't
So
see these
Deborah
chats.
Tomes too. Oh, it's an AFA raid.
AFA raid.
Love it.
What?
A Rude Awakening. Hey, A Rude Awakening. I liked your comment. I forgot what it was and I forgot where it was, but I saw that. I remembered your name and I was like, right on, dude. So thank you for the support, solidarity.
We have another one, Critic. Okay, now that everybody's coming in,
FV tuna time.
wanted a 1 if you're expecting a stimulus check or if you've already received it, and a 2 if you're not expecting a stimulus check and you aren't going to get one.
Cameras of Mass Destruction. Thank you for that awesome expose. I wish I could send you the video that I have of that guy backpedaling on his charity fraud. When he tried to, in that video that you just shared, he cut out a whole bunch of good stuff.
So we've got 4.
But I don't even want to say his name.
And then 6. Okay, so we're 6. Yes.
I need to go get the white fire rolling in the back.
No.
So I can hang out.
All right.
I'll be back.
Right now, it's almost a 50-50. 6 are saying, well, no, now we got 7 yes, and 5 no's on that.
All right. Well, good for you guys.
Johnny
Don't
B
buy
is
seeds.
8.
Go out and buy seeds and honey and chickens.
I like my chickens, man.
The ladies of the farm. Captain Awesome, I think you can kick it off now, right? We've got 34 watching, 37 watching now.
Okay, yeah. If they miss the first part, they can always rewind and check it out another time. But tonight's topic for everybody out there, we're going to be talking about financials.
Money.
La feria.
We're going to start. Always like to start at the beginning and then work our way forward to find out where we are today and why we are where we are today. And that is the same for our currency.
Ebor Rob, our brothers in the house.
Hey, what's up, Ebor? Now, most of folks in the United States realize that we are on a fiat currency. It's a fiat currency. It's a usury-based system, which means that every dollar now brought into existence comes attached with interest. And the scam is that we can never be able to pay all of our debt with the money that we have. We could give all of our money to all of our creditors and, for all the money we owe, and we would still owe money and we would be penniless. So we're going to start with the national debt, okay? And let me tell you how this is being manipulated.
Ooh. Best
That's
wife ever. Thank you, my love.
It's almost at $25 trillion. But if we look, eyes on the stage, see if you could focus in on the unpaid liabilities or the unfunded liabilities. There we go. Speak up a little bit.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, I didn't mean to make that pop up.
That's all right.
Oh, okay, there. And then I think I can get almost all of it. Maybe down just a touch.
Yeah, that should be good right there. Now it's saying that U.S. total debt is at $77 trillion, but I'm going to say it's even more than that. I'm thinking somewhere between 100 and 150 trillion dollars is what we're in debt to right now. That includes all of it. That includes the national debt, which everybody knows thinks is only $24 trillion. That's all we owe. I guess that was a small amount, but also they don't see, and that the government doesn't like to mention, although it is here on the debt clock, is the unfunded liabilities. And an unfunded liability to the common man like ourselves would be a mortgage. Okay, you owe that money, $100,000, $150,000. You just don't owe it today. And so it would be, ridiculous as you say, I'm only $20 in debt because I don't owe the 150 grand on my house today, so I'm only $20 in debt. That's how ridiculous as it is for us to say that there's only $24 trillion worth of debt. Now, the unfunded liability part with the Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, city, county, state
Your
pensions.
mic is cutting in and out. Hi, Noli D, by the way. That's our
Can you
sister
hear,
there.
can you hear me a little bit better?
Yeah,
That's
that's a
better.
little bit
That's
better.
much better.
Okay. So the debt that we're seeing for the unfunded liabilities in Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, it's pensions for federal workers, it's pension for state, local, city workers. All that shit is unfunded. If you look in places like California, the CalPERS system, they say that they're only like 70% underfunded. And then when you look and see how they expect to make this money, they're expecting 10% return per year on the stock market. You know, stuff that doesn't normally happen. I mean, 10% a year is great for any investor. I mean, you would be like Bernie Madoff if he was making 10% a year for 30 years, like like the state of California is betting on to be only. Now listen, they got to make 10% a year every year for 30 years to be only 70% underfunded. Okay, because if they make 2% a year, they're going to be like 85% underfunded or 90% underfunded on their pensions. And California is a worst case scenario, but you can believe that every state out there has these unfunded liabilities. Look in your budgets for your cities and your states and stuff like that. You'll see it there as well. But we're going to start off again tonight. I got kind of rough on a tangent. We're going to start off on the start of the currency system here in the United States. Back during the Revolutionary War, we had what was known as the continental dollars, continental currency, and basically what it was a fiat currency, just like we have today. And what happened to it was the legislature ended up printing too much currency, and it became worthless. And George Washington was famously quoted as saying that a wagon load of continental wouldn't buy you a wagon load of supplies. And at the time, after the revolution, they're doing the Constitution and stuff like that. Now, in the Constitution, there's a clause that says the state shall emit no bills of credit. Now, a bill of credit, okay, go ahead with that. Let's look over there. It tells you just a little bit about the Continental and how it quickly lost value because it wasn't backed by anything. Again, it was just a piece of currency backed by the government saying, yeah, we'll pay you back, which is exactly what our currency is backed by today. And they just printed it like it was going out of style, sort of like what they're doing now with the stimulus. But let's stay on track here. So what happened was the government knows about the Continentals, George Washington, all the founders, they know about the Continentals, they know about fiat currency. Fiat currency has been used over time, over 800 years. Every time it's been used, it's failed. It's collapsed. It's like sticking your finger in a pencil sharpener 9 times and then thinking you're going to stick it in the 10th time and something different's going to happen. No, you're going to chew up your freaking finger. All right, so that's fiat currency for you. There's an excellent book by 2 Harvard economists. It's called This Time It's Different. So if you get a chance, check that out. So basically, founders knew about fiat currency. In the Constitution, there's a specific clause: the state shall not emit no bills of credit. Now, a bill of credit is currency backed only by the government's promise to repay it. Now, there's no federal prohibition in the Constitution about emitting bills of credit. But if you look at the August 6th draft, and you can find it online, the August 6th draft of the Constitution, you'll notice that in there it was permitted for the federal government to emit bills of credit, but they took that out. Okay. And the reason they took that out is because they remember the Continentals, and they also remembered the fact that when men are in charge of printing money, they're going to print too much money. Okay. Whoever prints the money gets the value from that money first. By the time it comes down to us, it's watered down. You know what I mean? The banker could go print $1 million right now and buy $1 million home, but once that $1 million makes it into the system, it's not nowhere near that. That $1 million might buy a $200,000 house then because of inflation. Okay, but the people that print the money, they get the value out of it first. So Continentals didn't work. They realized that. They took the clause out that allowed the federal government to do it, and they specifically told the state governments that they couldn't do it. To back that up, here comes the Coinage Act of 1792. In the Coinage Act, the dollar is specifically laid out as a value of weight of silver. Okay.
Does anybody know it? Can anybody tell us how much a dollar was according to the Coinage Act of 1791 or 2? What was it?
1792.
If you can guess what a dollar is, we'll send you $1. You got any left?
I do actually.
All right, nobody's guessing.
It takes them 10 seconds at least.
Was it 461 grains?
No,
And
it's
512?
300 and some odd grains, I believe.
Oh, right, 361 and 412.
Yeah. So the Coinage Act, comes along. They declare what a dollar to be is in a weight of silver. And we didn't have paper dollar currencies all the way up until, I believe, 1861. Now, there was 3 central banks started in the United States. The Federal Reserve Bank is just the last one that's been implemented. But the first 2 banks were on 20-year charters. The first one, Alexander Hamilton started, who was a confidant, I guess you could say, of the big banks in England at the time, the Rothschilds, those guys, Germany, England, that stuff. He started the first central bank. That lasted 20 years. We kicked that bank out. Here comes the War of 1812. After the War of 1812, we got the second bank, which Andrew Jackson ended up killing, but they tried to poison him and kill him like 6 different times. Because obviously banking and money, that's very serious business. It's big money. So they tried to kill him, but he finally said on his deathbed, he got the bastards, and he did. And from up that time, from the second bank, they were trying to establish that third bank. Well, here comes, 1913 Federal Reserve Act, Jekyll Island. If you guys haven't read the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, it's a story. I don't know how verifiable it is, but bankers from the top banks, along with Colonel House, who was Woodrow Wilson's one of his top advisors. He was also the brainchild behind the Council on Foreign Relations, which are still a power mover in D.C. today. He got them together. They decided on this Federal Reserve Bank. And in order to make sure that the Federal Reserve Bank got the interest on the money that it loaned to the government, they implemented the income tax. The income tax was implemented the same year as the fractional reserve banking Federal Reserve Bank was instituted. That's no coincidence. Okay. They were loaning money. They wanted some way to make sure that they were getting repaid. Okay. Now, if you own your business and you send a tax check into the IRS and you get that check back, like a lot of times when you pay bills, bank will send you back your stack of checks or whatever after they've cleared at the end of the month. If you send in your tax check and your personal check to them, look on the back, see where that was deposited. You'll notice all of our taxes, they're not deposited in the U.S. Treasury. They're deposited at the Federal Reserve Bank. Okay? That's the scam. That's the deal there with the income tax and the Federal Reserve Bank. That's how they make sure they get their money. All right? So we talked a little bit about the history of the currency and some of the problems with it there, but I'm going to go for a minute before we let the other guys in, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how they fool us with some of the numbers that they give us financially. We've got a couple of links that I brought along, and they're included in the description. One is the Crash Course by Chris Martenson, and it's a very easy, to grasp course. It goes through many chapters, and it helps to lay out some of what I'm going to tell you here now. The government is manipulating the numbers that it gives to the public, be it inflation, um, be it GDP, a lot of different stuff. And I'm going to give you a couple examples here that you can take and you can research later if you'd like. But there's something called hedonics and GDP. Okay. So basically, what that is, in order to boost up that GDP number, they'll take everybody that owns their own house, they'll factor in how much it would cost if they rented those houses and didn't actually own it. Okay. So let's say everybody in the United States that owns their own house, the rent together for it all together, let's say it's, I don't know, $1 trillion. They'll add that on to the GDP to make it look like our GDP is better than it actually is. Okay. Now they do the same thing with inflation. They do it with a couple of different methods: geometric weighting. They'll do it with substitution. Okay. And they'll also do it with hedonics. Here's a perfect example of that. This year, I bought a $400 TV. Okay. I got 2 kids. Sometimes they act rambunctious. They run by, knock the TV over. This is a year later. Okay. So I go out to buy a TV, same size, everything. But it now has a new button on the remote control. And that button is picture in picture. So now on my TV, I get a little picture that pops up in the corner. Okay. Although the TV cost $150 more than the one I bought last year, even though it's the same TV, but because they added that little button up there and that little digit, costs you $150 more. But what the government does and says, they say, well, they got an extra benefit from that button. So because of that extra benefit, we're going to put the cost down at $400. Boom, no inflation. And that's how they get it with inflation. Doesn't matter whether what was added to the product is of any use to you or if you even use it at all. It doesn't matter. Everything is added is a benefit to you, whether it's a benefit to you or not. And that's how they'll keep inflation low. And they also do it with substitution in the food products. If steak gets too high, you know what they say? Well, I guess people ain't eating steak, they're eating hamburger. So they'll just kick the steak out and put in the hamburger and say, well, everybody's eating hamburger, whether you're eating steak or not. That's how they keep inflation low. Look at the inflation numbers. I mean, listen, if you do anything other than buy computers, and very few other things, which naturally drop in price as the years go by. But if you're doing stuff like eating, going to the doctors, paying rent, stuff like that, your inflation is through the roof. I challenge anybody to take a receipt from the grocery store from a year ago and compare the same items to the ones that you're looking at now, and you're going to see 5, 10, sometimes 20 and 30% growth on some of those items. I remember one year peanut butter jumped 23% in 1 year. Okay. But if they do this, inflation's real low. So yeah, it's this is definitely something that is a turning point and can be a turning point in our country, because let me be honest, a fiat currency always collapses. Again, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's just mathematically what is going to happen. And it's going to be happening a lot sooner than later. And you could tell that also if you study exponential growth. You understand what a hockey stick graph is. Okay. And if you ever heard the 5 minutes to midnight, how at 5 minutes to midnight there's not a problem, and then boom, there's a problem. That's exponential growth. There's an excellent video on Google. We didn't put the link. I didn't think of it. But if you Google or YouTube, the most important video you'll ever see, it'll be a lecture by a professor out in Colorado, specifically on exponential growth. I think it's called Arithmetic, Energy, and Population. But I encourage every person to watch that, and you'll see how even minuscule growth, even 0.1% growth, is considered exponential growth. And the more growth you have, the higher and faster that hockey stick graph's going to come. And it doesn't come down, and it doesn't come down with pleasant snowflakes falling slowly to the ground. It's a crash. And now, if you were to look at the debt to GDP ratio, because that's what the government will give you, knowing that they screw with the GDP numbers to make it look better. But if you look at just the debt, okay, every year, okay, from 1600 on to today, you'll notice a slight uptick in the early 1900s when we go to the Federal Reserve. Although our gold was backed, our dollars were backed all the way up until the 1970s. Now, they confiscated gold from American citizens. Roosevelt did in 33, I believe. But that was personal gold that Americans had. They still had open what was called the gold window. And that's where other countries could take their dollars and change them in for gold. But Nixon shut that in 71. Okay, so if you're to look at that debt graph from like 1600 to like 1900, it's like real flat. I mean, almost flat all the way across. Then 19, it goes up a little bit, but we're still on the gold standard. And then 71, it hits, and it starts like, I don't know if I can see right here. It starts right here, and it goes, let me go the right way. It goes all the way up, and it's just up and up and up. And
like a hockey stick.
Yeah, it's just like a hockey stick. It's got that short, fat little bottom, and it just keeps going up and up and up. And there's no recovery from that. There's no easy landing out of that. And right now, as it sits, throughout history, a lot of times there's been currency collapses. Venezuela, Germany went through one back in the 30s called the Weimar hyperinflation, where people were shoving stacks of money into their furnace because burning money was cheaper than buying heating oil, And I mean, if you really look at that time, it was a crazy time. Women would go to the factories every hour to get money because the men would get paid by the hour, at every hour. Because if they waited till the end of the day, the money they would have made in the morning wouldn't have bought anything by the end of the day. That's how fast their money was devaluing. All right. But everybody still had an opportunity to move their money into the stable US dollar. Okay. So they didn't have to lose everything. They could have took their money and put it in dollars and saved some of that money. But when the American dollar collapses, there is no savior out there. There is no other currency that you're going to move your money into that's going to be safe because of the dollar oil scenario. Right now, as it stands, the world's reserve currency is the US dollar. And if you look around the world, countries are holding 60% of their reserves in US dollars. To equate that, okay, when the dollar collapses,
The world does.
60% of everybody else's wallet. 60% of everybody's wallet collapses right along with the dollar. All right. So this is important information. This is stuff that's I've known for years and I've talked to people about for years, and it's still not getting through.
If you didn't take notes, make sure to watch this again and take notes.
Right. And listen, it doesn't matter who we vote for. Trust me. Check the debt chart out. You will not see a difference between D and R. Every year, the debt goes up.
Yeah.
Even when Bill Clinton was like, "Oh, I balanced the budget this year,"
what he did was open up the floodgates.
Right. He still borrowed $18 billion that year. Sure, he had some tricky accounting, but if you look at the debt chart,
Ooh,
$18 billion.
his accounting is crazy.
Yeah, it was all on paper, and what he did was he repealed the Glass-Steagall Act, which took away the buffer zone between private banks and investment banks. So,
Right.
that caused the collapse in 2008, 9 years later. Everybody was like blaming it on one guy, but it was his fault.
Listen.
And about that hockey stick, there are a few people at the top, no matter who you vote for, they're going to take off on their private jet when they hear about this and leave us to fight for the scraps that are left behind.
As 4 senators did just before the coronavirus information was released, and they sold all their stocks in major companies, stuffed all their money in their pockets, and took off.
Yeah, this is something that these guys don't know. I mean, they got to know. I mean, like I said, 800 years of financial history, fiat currency collapsed every time. Okay, it doesn't matter. You've got humans printing money. You got humans printing money. What more do you need to know?
Yeah. Oh, we need more. Hang on. Let's drop the interest rate and let's print it out some.
We got another AFA raid by AFA himself.
When this coronavirus thing hit, I was watching a 60 Minutes interview, and it was the president of the Minnesota Federal Reserve Bank, and I couldn't believe he said it at the time. And I've talked about it before on one of the other live streams, but this guy just said, hey, the Treasury has given us unlimited ability to print money, so we'll just print money and we'll just print our way out of this, and they're talking about $6 trillion and stuff. Listen, these guys know exactly what they're doing. They want the collapse of the currency to come about. You know what I mean? Fiat currency and a usury system, what it does is it pools all the money at the top and leaves very little at the bottom. And then when there's very little at the bottom and all of it at the top, then the system blows out. And these guys, they're not hoarding dollars. What they're doing is they're buying property, they're buying farms. That's why there's all those corporate farms now. That's why China was paying 2 to 3 times asking prices on minerals and mineral mines and oil fields and stuff. And this is happening a couple years ago. You can look it up. And economists at the time were like, why is China paying twice what the asking price is for this oil field? Well, because they knew the dollars that they had were going to be worthless. So why not give him twice what he's asking for an oil field, which is going to keep paying and paying no matter what the currency is? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
these are inmate.
Yeah, these are real issues that we need to address. And I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let Eyes got some stuff he wants to say about stuff going on financially, and I'm sure some of these guys do. So I'm going to let them take over.
Type 1 if you appreciate Captain's valuable info.
We'll let the buttons come up. I won't be quite as in depth as Rogue was on this, but we did do a little ask earlier when everybody was coming in on who got their stimulus and who didn't get a stimulus. And it seemed to be, from the answers that we got, that it was just a little bit over a 50-50 of we were getting a stimulus or not getting a stimulus. What are some of the reasons that you shouldn't be getting the stimulus money right now? Are there any reasons that you guys can think of that you shouldn't get the stimulus money right now from the government?
It said, have you been arrested in the last year?
Did it?
On the small business one before it ran out on that application.
You mean on the one that the major companies were...
They all took all of it? Yeah.
Yeah, that they took all of it and pocketed all of it?
Who was that company that decided not to take it? They were like, nah, no thanks. Who was it? It was a big company.
I don't remember.
James Madison says if you take it, you're a socialist.
Yep. So,
and somebody said if you hoard, it was future imminent. Even if you were purchasing and hoarding gold, the feds will find a way to steal it. Yeah, And he spells steel, S-T-E-L. I like what you did there.
Okay, so what's going on is if
Don't
you
hoard gold. It's heavy. Hoard silver. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, that's all I had to say about that.
So if you have any past due bills that could have had a judgment put against you, be it student loans they're saying they're not collecting for, but if that student loan was passed off to a third-party processor and they've put a judgment or anything of that notion in against you, family court, which family court is one that the federal government under Clinton's Act is paying the states back after all of that. On every dollar that they're collecting, they're taking it right out of people's bank accounts. So these people that are needing the money the most are having bill collectors in family court, which is making money hand over fist off of this, take that money from them. They can't use it for their kids. They're married with other kids and they have the money coming for the children and each one of the parents. They're taking all of it. Let's say that your family court liability is $50 that you owed because you were laid off from work before this happened and you couldn't make that payment. They came to take that payment. They're taking that $1,200 payment and you're not going to get any of it back, even though it was only a $50 due that you had owed.
Now, are they taking that $50 out of that $1,200 payment and keeping the rest of it for future payments? Or
that's what it seems to be that they're doing with it right now.
how nice of them to think ahead like that.
Yup. Isn't it? And now when they do that, they claim each state will claim to the federal government, hey, we collected X amount of dollars, pay us now. So instead of just making the money off the $1,200 that they're making originally, they're going to make, in some cases, $10, a dollar off of each dollar that they collected. Florida's, I think, about 7-ish, somewhere in that area. So if they collect $1,000 from you, they're keeping and getting what, $7,000 more.
You see what PDF said? PDF said that he read the form. It said the only people who can take money is the bank. If the bank is owned, even child support cannot take it. Did you see that?
That is a I'm sorry, Port Dirt Farmer, but that's a straight out lie. The bank is the one that seizes the money, and child support puts out a fake judgment that doesn't have a real pen signature on it, that doesn't have anything except a copyrighted sheet of paper that they put out, and they send these things to these banks. And the banks say, okay, well, since you're the government agency, I guess we have to do what you tell us to do. And
But they're doing that with the stimulus?
Yes,
sure?
with the stimulus, for sure, without any question. I saw a news report today from a guy in Florida that had it done to him. I saw another news report today from a guy in Tennessee that had it done to him. Another report, I think, from California or Texas, I think it was that did. And people are so conditioned to think now that, oh, that person owes child support, be it a man or a woman. If they owe child support, they shouldn't get it. We need to take that money. Those kids need it no matter what. What happens if that man or woman was alienated from their child by no fault of their own and couldn't see their child, couldn't spend time with their child, couldn't be a good figure in their child's life because of the actions of another person, be it the other parent or family members or the court or whatever the case may be, if it was no fault of their own. If they owed $50 in child support, then they were going to come and take that stimulus money from somebody without any questions, any if and or buts about it. And then you have to go fight it afterwards.
If that's you said you saw a story about one guy. We have a couple stories about people who do owe child support and did get it.
Where? Because I haven't seen one yet.
So it must be only for certain people, Catherine Hayes said.
I don't know how certain that could be, everything that I've seen everywhere, including the child support agency, it's one of the only government agencies that's up and running full steam right now. They didn't do anything but close the door to the office so that you can't go in there and talk to anybody at this point.
Yeah,
But
she says this is in North Carolina.
in North Carolina, well, we'll have to check with, I think Jeff is here, audits is up there, isn't he?
Yeah, maybe we could get him to look into that. But
Yep, we'll have to check on that. But from what I understand, everybody in every state, if you owed any child support money in any way, shape, or form, your stimulus was seized, and any future stimulus is going to be seized from you also.
yeah, I've heard some stuff like that, and it wouldn't surprise me, especially how they're doing it going through the bank
Mm-hmm.
requirement. Because they do a lot of the same stuff on the tax liens that they file with the bank. They're pretty sneaky about it. I forget what the code is now for the tax code for it, but supposedly on the lien they're having these two little paragraphs that are part of the law. Well, the IRS will leave off one part of the law that pretty much states that who it applies to, and it doesn't apply to most people, and they just leave that off and they take it to the bank. Um, I've been a researcher of tax protesters for quite a while, and some people out there put out some really great information. Um, but again, it's a hard fought battle. I would hate to endure myself. Thomas Crockett was a lawyer who actually got a little bit of satisfaction when he died. But for most, it's a uphill battle of legalese and just a web of tomfoolery, I guess you could say. But yeah, this is
Now, I've also seen that there's been a few landlords that have been taking renters' information and pulling it for that too.
Wasn't there a company that was going to cut their employees' pay by amount of stimulus check they got, and I think they ended up revoking that after there was a public outcry to that?
Yep, I've heard several of those actually.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to, I guess, imagine with everything we've been told all our lives that we're not the lowest rung on the ladder, but historically, and history always repeats itself, but historically the common man has been shit upon through most of time. I mean, ever since the caveman time, the common man was shit upon. You had the ruler that had the nice cave, and the bearskin rug, and the other guys, they were kicked out and had to sleep under some damn bamboo sticks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the head cave guy, he got 3 or 4 wives, and the other guy had to get the bucktooth, one titty lady. You know what I mean? So, sorry.
It was like that till World War One,
Right.
all the way up to World War One. Did we have
Right.
like feudal systems and where everybody's working for his lordship, the Earl of Grantham?
But here's the common sense play on that. And here's the logic where I don't understand why we're not grasping this is if this is the way life has been for 2,000 years, all of a sudden the ruling elite just want to share everything with us, right? I mean, how plausible is that when you think about it? Why would they? So and I understand, happy cows produce more milk and better meat. And that's what we are. We're happy cows. We're free range slaves. We're told that we can do, whatever we want. But really, when we look at it, when we test it, we find out we're only allowed to do what they tell us. And that's the bottom line. And it's also another bottom line that the state can come, or the federal government can come and take everything away from us at any time it wants, for any excuse it wants, and face no repercussions at all. They could kick down your door, blast every one of your family members, and say, "Oh, you know what? It was the other house that was a drug den. We're sorry."
They're still going over that in Texas, aren't they? Where they kicked that door in and they killed that couple in their house.
Oh, there's been numerous reports. There was an old lady in New York City. They busted down her apartment door, gave her a heart attack. She died. And the next door neighbor was the drug dealer. It was just a little old lady living in her house, and there's no repercussions for that. With the state, local, federal taxes we pay, the insurance, the fines, the fees, the registrations, the licensing, we're paying about 60% of our income yearly to the government. So at what point to us does it become slavery? It's not
Yeah, and
slavery at 60%, right? So what is it? 70% we consider ourselves slaves? How about when our kids grow up? Is it 80% that they'll be paying? I mean, because somebody's got to pay this shit back, right? Or are they just giving them, money away? Who's loaning us this money? How the hell does anybody have the means to loan the government trillions and trillions of dollars? Who the F are these people?
Who has a $438,810 to be the liability to the U.S. unfunded liabilities?
Right. See, there it is right there. There's the number. $144 trillion. $144 trillion. Now let's put that in perspective. The government takes in $2.5 to $3 trillion a year in taxes. Okay. The world, if it pulled all the money it made all year long, would only be $70 trillion. Okay. So that our debt would take everybody in the whole world paying it. It would take 2 years just to pay it. But here's the kicker. We don't have to borrow any more money. We could shut this off today. You could shut that dollar sign down today. It could not click one more cent up. And the interest alone is going to kill us. Because right now, what are we paying? 500 billion, maybe a trillion in interest right now?
Let me see if they've got an interest on here.
And what's the interest rate at like now? 0%? 1%? It's been real low for a long time. But in the 70s, the interest rate got up to like, I think 17 or 19%. So realistically, if our interest rate went up to say 10%, okay, if we're paying $500 billion, let's just say $500 billion in interest
Coming up like that
on 0% or 1%, well, that's going to make it $5 trillion if our interest rate goes up just to 10% a year. We're only pulling in $3 trillion in taxes. So like I said, this is a foregone conclusion. Mathematically, any way you want to look at it, this shit ain't smelling rosy. And now with this virus, everything's shutting down, the economy's shutting down. They're talking about 25% unemployment. Shit might get hairy. Might get hairy pretty quick.
There's 23 million people they said that are unemployed in the country right now. And those are the people that they can count, that have filed, that they've taken care of, that they've actually know of that have filed for unemployment. Imagine how many people haven't been able to get through to file, because we all know the fiasco that Florida is going through with their unemployment system on people trying to file and the things that are trying to be done. I know Hillsborough County took an $80 million loan from Bank of America about a week and a half ago to pay out unemployment and things that needed to be paid from the county itself that needed to be done. Now, if Hillsborough County's taken out $80 million, how much is every other county taken from the banks at this point to try and pay things that they need to pay? And where are they going to get that money afterwards? After this is all done and they try to put 23 million plus people back to work, where are they going to get that money that they just borrowed? How are they going to pay that back? Because they were all broke in the first place.
Well, they all have investment accounts, and our audits have shown that. They all have investment accounts. The problem with that is they're buying government debt. They're buying T-bills and T-bonds, and they're invested in the stock market. Well, what happened to the stock market recently? Just took a big crap. So the government's lost a whole bunch of money that they've invested in themselves and in the stock market. I mean, it's going to be a fiasco. Again, it's a foregone conclusion. It's not if, but when. That's it. That's the only thing that needs to be found out is when. And to be honest with you, I had thought this couldn't go on years ago. I was looking at it and I said, there's no way that they can keep this charade going, but they have, and they just keep it going. And it's not just us. Every world's like that. I mean, look at the EU, look at Greece, look at Spain. I mean, they're all swimming in debt. Every country's swimming in debt.
Massive debt.
Yeah. And who are these people that are loaning the government money? Why does nobody think about this? How can we be $24 trillion in debt? Who makes that kind of money? Countries don't make that kind of money. Who are you people? Where did you get that money from? Let's just all make believe money. It's all digits on a screen. They've fooled us. For like 2,000 years, men have tried to conquer the world using armies. These guys took a couple hundred years and they did it with banks.
Banks are definitely, yeah, without question. I mean, in that new stimulus bill, in that new $2 trillion stimulus bill that they passed, that they gave everybody that money out of, there's money that went to huge firms, and not that $2 trillion didn't go to the normal American citizen to get. It went to businesses, it went to government programs, it went to all sorts of different things. And inside of that, it buried down in the bottom of it is a way for them to make a digital currency now also.
Yeah, that's the next step.
Yep.
The dollar Bitcoin.
Yep.
Or scan your wrist.
Yep. Everything digitized. We're going to be able to track your every movement. We're going to know exactly what you're buying. We're going to know exactly what you're paying.
Driver's license info, all that stuff is going to be on a chip. And if you step out of line, you're going to turn it off.
Yeah, Digital Angel is a company that's already been doing chips for a while now. There's people in the U.S. that have been chipped. I think the Attorney General down in Mexico has been chipped a couple years ago.
I just saw an employee all proud of it. He has his T-shirt that says, "I've been chipped."
Yeah. Well, because, that's always good. They always bring good with the bad. They say, oh, well, you can chip your child and,
they won't get lost.
A petty can never steal them, or he can never run away because you'll always find him. And listen, those are great things. They really are. But at what cost?
Right.
At what
liberty?
Cost? Right.
You can monitor your child, but who else can monitor your child? Right.
Exactly. They were testing it out in Texas. I was reading about it. They had kids from school. They had an ID card that had an RFID card, and you could scan them. And they were using testing that out. But this is they don't not tell us what they're doing. It's all around us. We just have to look and be open to the fact that sometimes when somebody says, "Oh, that's a conspiracy theory," we need to stop for a moment and take an extra careful look with an open, without preconceived notions about, oh, the government would never hurt us, or oh, they're looking out for us. You know what I mean? Because again, that flies in the face of human history. The ruling elite have never looked out for the common man, even when they say they are, even when it appears that they are. There's something underfooted going on.
No, James, it's probably the limit. We're letting the trolls troll, so nobody should have blocked your comment about pensions.
The only way that the comment could have possibly been blocked is by the AI, if there was any language or anything like that in it. Because I think the comments have the AI check on them for language and vulgarity and that kind of stuff, I believe.
What
Right
is
on,
his
James.
comment?
I didn't blog anything. It wasn't me.
What was your question, James?
Yeah, what's his question? Let's get to some questions.
Yeah, the majority of Americans do use plastic versus cash already. Du bist ein Deutscher? Future?
And that's
Wo
the
in
ship.
Deutschland?
No, they're not open down here yet that I know of, Poor Dirt Farmer. Are any of the marinas open around where you guys are?
Yeah. Yeah, there's
They are over
boating
where you
allowed.
are?
Yeah.
They never closed the state parks up here in Indiana, but I'm in the middle of like a cornfield overload.
Fußenhike.
So there's no marina by me, buddy.
Ich liebe Wien,
Well, they were closed. They
Und
were
the
closed
Grand
over
Sol.
here in Hillsborough County.
the Golden Soul.
I guess some beaches are opening back up on Monday. Is that correct? In Charlotte County and up your way?
Yeah, I believe so. It's time to go back to taking advantage of April in Florida with the tourists.
Yeah.
And making
Yeah,
money.
I know Southern California just reopened their beaches. I just have a buddy that lives out there, and he was talking about. He said it hadn't made the national news, but they opened, I believe, beaches in Orange County out there, and I think down by San Diego as well. But he said, yeah, the national news hadn't picked up on it yet. And I was talking to the wife, and I said, you know, they probably want to, you know, keep things like that as quiet as possible because there's still a lot of governors that are hardlining it. And if the citizens in, let's say, Michigan, who can't even go to their buddy's house next door,
Mm-hmm.
see the Californians are out on the beach and drinking pina coladas, shit might get crazy in Michigan.
Well, not only they can't go to their buddy's house next door, but if they own a summer home or any other home inside the state, they can't go to their secondary home either. They have to stay in that home that they're in.
Oh. Vielen Dank, future mate.
Now,
Deutsche Sprache, schwere Sprache.
here's
Go
the
ahead.
other thing that's good is let's say that one of those people is here from or is in another state from Michigan. They can come back without all of the same type of restrictions to go to their homes as the other people that are in Michigan. So the rules are different for the citizens as they're coming back than the ones that are inside.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
And we have fan hats on. Piner says.
Fan hats. Huh?
We got anybody that wants to jump in the panel, or is there any questions?
Yeah,
comments?
questions, comments, agreements, disagreements.
Let me throw the invite up.
Anybody got a thought on that?
Yeah, any trolls want to come on and troll? You're
Say
welcome.
hi. Say
This
what's
is-
up.
This is a good opportunity.
Did they loosen the restrictions in Michigan? How far though?
Hey, Captain Awesome, you need to come to New York for an audit. NYPD. Never heard of it.
That'd be kind of cool to see Captain in New York, wouldn't it? I'd like that.
New York's a scary place. They're building an army right now. New York's building a tracing army. Mr. Cuomo was all over on his little channels that he has touting his tracing army.
Piner in Florida says, my 84-year-old mom is digging your audit video, guys. Tell her thank you. And my cousin and her husband just called me today. They've known about this, but they just started watching yesterday. And her husband's a Harvard graduate engineer, and he says, tell him he's my hero. We are not heroes. We're just doing our civic duty. This is something that's not really that hard, and everybody should go out and do it with us. It's not, you know, especially if we all do it, it won't be dangerous. You won't go to jail if there's like 20 people recording the cop at the cop stop, you know, or going in and asking for the financials on your city. the CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, is what everybody should go to their city hall and ask for. If you don't want to go into city hall, go to the reference section of the main public library in your city, and they should have it there. Most places have it. And that's the money. That's where all the money that comes from
was actually spent. Like,
Yeah.
as opposed to, I'm sorry to cut you off, but as opposed to how they say they're going to spend the money,
the promises
the
in the
CAFR
budget.
is how they actually spent the money.
Yep.
Although it's hard to get them sometimes. I've found that I still can't get one from the Department of Revenue at all. I can't get anything that says where they spend their money, how they spend their money, what they spend the money. I can't find anything. Anything. They always tell me that there's no record. They refuse to flat out acknowledge that they spend money and they have accounts and, you know, they have to pay for cars and credit cards and whatever else it is that they're buying with that money. I still can't get my hands on it.
Yeah.
Noli D said that she's surprised that I know more than just bad English.
Ich
Or she
kann
said-
sie nicht verstehen.
What's Noli D? When have you caught me having only bad English? I don't understand this comment.
Gunny Grunt's going out trolling on his boat. What body of water are you in? The Gulf of Mexico, Gunny? Is that where you're going? Or out in the Atlantic or Pacific?
It's a
Or maybe a Great Lake. Or maybe a Great Lake.
Miami Beach audit said someone else is controlling my phone. It's typing by itself. Maybe that's why you went and tried to correct another auditor in front of everybody online. See, it doesn't feel good. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. I'm sorry I had to do it to you, but don't do that. Someone else controlling.
Where are you at, GA? You know the video? What happened, buddy?
GA.
Last couple times.
Clearwater
Open in South Florida. I don't know Poor Dirt Farmer. I don't know if you're talking to me specifically. I heard Rice Krispie answer you for his area, and they said yes, right? But I don't know if they're open down my way.
Hillsborough County is no.
Hillsboro's a no.
Not unless
Yeah,
it's
Hillsborough. That's the bipolar Florida part. Like one county is right next to another county. This one goes on curfew. This one's opening up beaches.
Yep, but they removed that curfew real quick,
Good.
like
Right.
real quick, like
That wasn't going to go down.
Nah, that curfew made it a whole 72 hours before they backpedaled and pulled that thing right out. And I know there were several lawyers. One of them was interviewed by one of the papers down here that had already said that he had already served the paperwork on the policy group, I guess is what you would call it, that he was going to file to fight it the day that they dropped it. So,
yeah, PDF. They're supposed to be closed. Honestly, I can't tell you. I don't know. I don't do anything with boats or I'm just not my thing. So I don't know anything about the marinas.
That's cool. Save the Human, 3 years.
yes.
Yeah, Miami Beach Audits is a new channel. Go out and subscribe to him.
I think I already am. I'm gonna go check though.
Night, future inmate.
Yeah, there's a lot of new channels cropping up. I mean, every day I see people are either doing their own channels or they're commenting on someone's channel that they want to, go out with them and give them backup, or, if you're ever in my area, I'll, do backup for you. So, I do see the movement becoming more popular. Again, we're not only fighting,
Choose.
government, workers and their, ignorance about what we can do as press. but we're also fighting against other citizens who are conditioned with the same mindset. Because listen, the people that work in the government, they went to the same public schools that most of us did. They read the same textbooks. They got the same rah 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 story. Government's here for our own good. The masses are too stupid to govern themselves. They need us here to tell them, if the shed can be, 2 feet this way or 2 feet that way, and what color their house has to be, and how tall their bushes have to be, and whatever else. So I forgot what I was talking about. Go ahead.
Squirrel.
Something shiny.
That's too
Yeah,
funny.
sheeple are far more brutal enforcers than the pigs. We were talking about 1984 in the last live stream we did about the book by Orwell. And in one of the chapters, it talks about, you got the thought police, but our protagonist was trying to feel out one of his coworkers. He didn't know too much about him, and he was like explaining how everybody is. The thought police are there to enforce, thought police, and you're not supposed to step out of line. But even more dangerous than them are the backers, the ones who will kill the dissenters. And even if they're thought police themselves, they're like, no, you're not doing what the leader really wants us to do. You know what I mean? That's the more dangerous person in society, is the people who don't think, that they're just regular sheep, and they're dangerous sheep.
Right, because you don't see them as a cop because they're not a cop.
Right.
You think, hey, this guy has worked next to me for 10 years. He's all right. Meanwhile, he's thinking, holy cow, this guy's questioning the government. I got to turn his ass in. He's got to be up to no good, because who would question the government? They've done everything for us. And, we got the best plantation on the planet, and that kind of thinking.
Hey, Indie News on the Street joined us, and I wanted to say I saw your audit with Rogue Nation up there. When you rolled up, you literally rolled up and told him not to eat yellow snow, not to run with scissors.
That was great. That
That was beautiful. He's like, oh, and another thing, you know what? Don't eat yellow snow. Like, rolled up.
Don't sleep with your partner's wife.
Yup. Don't kick your dog.
Don't kick your dog. Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah. If they're going to give out stupid advice, so will I.
Yeah, but those that we've heard that time and time again, but we never saw it on an audit mobile. Like you literally rolled up on them.
let me tell you, dude. Let me tell you, we all need one of these things because it's a
Hell
cooler. It's a scooter, bro.
Yeah.
So you can ride around doing your audits with a 6-pack underneath your butt.
James Madison is like way ahead of you. I'm strapping one onto my electric scooter now.
You can put a 12-pack and a 8-pound bag of ice in there.
Nice.
No, 24-pack. 24-pack and an 8-pound bag of ice in the cooler. And it'll go 15 miles an hour. So if the police want to follow you around, you can take them on a ride. Take them on a long walk.
Man, I had my grandma's chair one time, and I took it out to the driveway. This was a long time ago before she passed away, and I turned the little steering knob in one direction. I started doing donuts, man. It was so much fun.
Hey, PDF in the house.
No, I don't. Is that a German thing? I'm not German. I'm learning through Duolingo. It's a free app.
So, Rice Crispy, how many languages do you speak?
I don't know that I can say because I can't translate in all those languages. I could get a hotel and a meal in several countries. That's the best way I can put it. It's about 20, 30 maybe.
Wow. I really love it when you start talking to them in their native language. It just kind of blows their mind.
Yeah, and it's not really like I can't carry on a conversation with 90% of them. I can just say niceties to show them, like, break the ice a little bit. And I think, but I am fluent in Spanish, and Japanese is my third language, but it's been so long, so I can't really say that I am anymore. I had a Japanese girlfriend a long time ago.
He's well traveled, and he's also fluent in red light district.
We actually stayed right by the red light district in Amsterdam. It was a lot of fun.
So not only
That's where,
so that's what he meant by order a meal in a room. Yeah, that's code word.
Yeah, but it's it's not about intelligence. It's about yes, I was stationed in Okinawa. It's about memory. So if you have a good memory, try to learn Sì, io parlo italiano un poco. It's pretty easy for romantic languages if you already speak one, like Spanish. So French and Italian are very simple. Portuguese, I don't speak it, but I can understand because it's like a mix between Spanish and Italian. But yeah. So
yeah, I've never been good at languages.
Yeah, again, I know a lot of idiots that speak several languages, so it's not about intelligence. Give it a shot; you might be good at it.
I can read Koine Greek, ancient Greek, not modern Greek. It's too much difference. But
Cool.
studied that when I was studying Bible. But
Nice.
Trying to the pronunciation's a little hard on me.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We get John Felix in here.
Oh, thank you, Metro World.
Hey, thank you, Metro World, for real. Are you the one that said come up to New York? Are you NYPD?
You're more than welcome to join us.
Yeah, you know, there are some auditors that are ex-officers.
Yeah. My cousin retired from NYPD.
I'm a former cop.
I didn't want to say nothing, but I figured if you
nobody's
did,
perfect.
fine.
I don't mind. I don't mind. It is what it is. I enjoyed being a cop. It sure beat working for a living.
Yeah, there's a even if you're just a regular patrolman, there's an opportunity to take real leadership and tell the guys around you, like, hey, no, we don't want to fucking get sued in our own individual capacity. So let's play this by the book. These guys have cameras. Don't fuck up in front of it, Yeah. No, in the Marine Corps. I was in the Marine Corps. Save the Humans. News Now South Florida says I'm a former cop supporter.
See this, Rogue?
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed the interview with Officer Oak. I think we touched on some good subjects. I'd like to have him back.
No, thank you, my love. Maybe a scotch.
And rehash some stuff that we didn't get to. I'm all for talking with anybody. And again, I know, a lot of times we're not going to change people's minds, but if we can just plant a seed, and have that person, everybody has their aha moment where they come to an understanding that what we've been told isn't exactly the truth. And where
it's a beautiful background, Eyes.
Thank you.
Wherever they take it from there is up to them. But, I feel that I've cleared my conscience when I inform people of the perils that face us all. And, some of the research that I've done over time, I enjoy reading old law books and history books, and, I enjoy passing along what I find because it's relevant to what's going on today. And it's relevant to our understanding of what's going on today. So, And
Yeah, well,
again, I go to troll discords and I talk and I argue with them as well, a little more than I should because it's a time robber. But and it's not the people that I'm arguing with that I'm going to persuade. It's the person that's reading it that's not saying anything. They're going to
yeah.
take something away from that and say, well, maybe I should look into that, or maybe this is right, or something like that.
I was telling my cousin's husband, the one I was just telling you about earlier, because he was complimenting. He said it's entertaining and educational, and I told him, I have a good group of people who I learn from every day, and I keep learning. And what you were saying is like we're not really going to change minds right there at the moment. We may plant a seed, but also at the same time, we're letting other like-minded people know that they're not alone. That shit is fucked up and stuff, and we're letting everybody know shit is fucked up and stuff. We hear you, we see you, we're on it. Like, come join us, do this too. Noli D, can you tell Eyes on the State to give me your number? Because he doesn't believe me that you said it's okay. Thank you, man.
I don't give anything out ever.
That's what your wife said.
I know it.
Oh, I have to. This is a really good. Usually, I like channeling my inner Wolfie Gladly to answer the trolls and just kill them with kindness or humor. And this one troll was like, I stopped watching. I couldn't handle it after you said this, blah, blah, blah. And I said, that's all right. 30 seconds is all I needed. And they came back so good. They were like, no, that's not what your spouse said. Or ask your spouse, like, LOL true, something like that, man. I was like, oh, my God, they got me. That's not what your spouse said.
They burned you, bro.
Maybe they burned me. I'm feeling the burn still.
That's why your right's crispy, bro. They burned you.
Oh yeah, you're. That's right. They were like, you chewing gum, because I read it to my wife. I was like, this was too good. You got to hear this. We're letting trolls troll out here, y'all.
Listen, trolling is fine. Just
okay,
remember
Noli.
that sometimes your motor is going to hit logs, stuff like that. You're going to get stuck.
Yeah.
And just like the Country Boy song goes by Earl Dibbins Jr.
Earl Dibbles.
Earl
Jr.
Dibbles Jr. If the truck gets stuck, we ain't pulling you out.
And you gotta have.
Hi, Mrs. Awesome.
Hi.
What was that?
Hey, this is awesome.
Type 1 if you appreciate our wives for letting us go out and risk our life and liberty.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I had a troll tell me, oh, it must be a great job. You got to ride around and F with people's jobs or something like that. And I said, thanks for the comment. Appreciate your view.
Man, I'm just saving up for an electric car like James Madison audits. So when we go on these long road trips, I can just sleep and let the car drive me back home. Because we have struggled on these long road trips. We live hours away from each other, and we always either team up and then head out to another 4-hour trip somewhere, Yeah.
I want to thank James for sharing that comment with us about how he was empowered after watching auditing to assert himself, with the police officer. I tell people that, and a lot of people ask me, are you making monumental change? Are you changing the country? And I tell them it's an honest answer. I'm not. And I'm not expecting big change to come from me. I'm expecting big change to come from everybody that watches me. Okay. I'm expecting people to finally, take this knowledge that's given to them and do something with it, and stop allowing abuses that have gone on. And if those abuses do occur, head on over to American Freedom and find out how to redress them. Okay, because that's the only way big change is going to occur. It's not going to occur for me or rights or I say going out there and doing that kind of stuff. It's gonna amount when everybody takes the knowledge we've imparted and then helps in that process.
Change is slow, but change does happen. If you watch your videos from a little over a year ago and now, it's amazing the difference. The interactions with the cops are so much different than what they used to be. And that's not, I mean, it's a lot has to do with you, but it has to do with that. All the auditors that are out there, they're beginning to understand. They may not like what we do. There's by the way, Rogue Nation, Captain Awesome, you are not mentioned by name, but you and Who's Your News Now and I are part of we made the FBI.
Here, this is in solidarity for you guys. Here you go.
Yes. We made their computer. There's a thing on us from when we were over by Lilly and the bus terminal and the FBI building. It goes through all that, and we're part of a anti-government, anti-authoritarian group. and I would say amen to the anti-authoritarian.
Cheers, you guys, for doing that, for getting on that list. That's a milestone in auditing.
I'll text that to you guys too after I get off here.
What are they going to do when that list fills up with everybody?
Yeah, and my first day out, I get on the list. Love it.
For sure, James Madison. For sure, tomorrow.
We got an excellent program coming up Thursday. We're not going to reveal anything yet, but we got an excellent interview with some up and coming YouTubers that I think are really doing a great service out there.
Talk to them today.
Yeah, we're going to get them on. We're going to talk with them, see a little bit about what they're doing. Again, it's a public service that they're providing. And they're doing a damn good job of it, and it's got me pumped up. It's got me amped up. It lets me know there's good people out there looking out for people that can't look out for themselves.
Yep.
So
fantastic.
We're excited about it. That's going to be Thursday at 8. We're going to do that, and as it is now, we're just doing the Thursdays and the Saturday nights. But hopefully, we can amp it up and bring content more nights of the week. And also put out some more stories along the same lines that we normally do: government accountability, record requests, citizen stories of corruption or tyranny that has happened to them.
Yep. Yeah, we've got a bunch of stories in the backlog that we still got to put out. There's, that biracial couple that were pulled over just because of that. There's, a guy who's beat up because he fell asleep on his friend's car after drinking. But then they came and beat him up and put him in the back of the car and then released him. And then the other guy that gets thrown in jail for just a open container. They throw him in jail for that.
Wow.
And some other stories that we've got lined up too.
There's no such thing as a biracial couple, right?
Right.
We're all the human race.
The human race, right? But what
I know what
they
you
call
mean.
it.
Yeah. It just I been pounding that into. I mentor inner city youth. Got in a robotics program, and that's one of the things that we got a little bit of everybody there, and that's one thing that I just pound into them is that hey, we may have different color skin, but we have different color hair, different color eyes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't divide over those things. That's silly. That's just stupid. That's what that's what people want us to do. But we don't. We're the human race.
I like to say things that make us different aren't as important as the things that make us the same.
Amen.
Give me 1 second. James, I know why your comments may have been blocked now. They have links in them. Links are blocked in the comments. I do know that. So,
Oh, okay.
yep. I just caught one of them as it was going up and going by. But that would be the only reason. I saw Dinky Doo had said that he or she was timed out also. And I don't see anybody else being timed out or anything else going on like that. So,
Dinky Doo, tu sei un pazzo. Polk County. Yeah, when you say PSC or PCSO, that could be Pinellas County, it could be Putnam County. Several counties in Florida start with either a C or a P.
why am I not seeing these comments that are coming up?
You've got to look at the YouTube. It's not in the the SteamYard.
That's a good idea, Nate
Oh, I have
Pullen,
all of them.
to analyze some of our own best audits on Saturday Night Bang. But I think we'll do that like on our channel, like when we're talking about. But maybe we'll do that here. We got to talk about it.
I think it'd be fun to look at some of the biggest mistakes you've made.
Yeah. No, I if my last video, you can see where my brain got stuck. I was surrounded by like 7 cops too, and it was 2 a.m. And as Smith versus City of Cummings, where we keep an eye on government employees on the government dime, for matters of public interest. And Rogue
Yeah.
Nation caught that live, and he was like, "Oh boy, what happened there, buddy?" I said, "I don't know."
That's the one you kept correcting yourself, say Cumming, not Cummings.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
You are the parent people who just caught the babysitter employee under oath doing harm to your children. Are you going to just let it be quietly forgotten? That is what I've seen happen. No, we don't. You can ask Corporal Mato, well, Officer Matos now. Not only did he get sued and lost, he settled. He got demoted for acting like a clown in front of our cameras again.
That's as it should be.
Yeah.
Hey, Captain, the one question I wish you'd have asked the officer when the other day is when he was talking, when you were asking him about enforcing laws that go against the Constitution, and he was like, couldn't think of any. And it may have ended the interview, but he'd say, well, what about the executive orders?
Yeah. I was gonna say, why didn't you ask him why he didn't come prepared? Because he didn't. And that's not being unfair. I mean, yeah, props to the guy for coming in and everything, but
Yeah.
come on, who did you think you were dealing with? This is Captain Awesome.
Well, they like to think that, they paint with a broad brush and, all auditors are unemployed and
Sovereign citizens.
right. You can't learn anything unless you go to school and had a college degree for it. And, they're the only ones that understand, that Knights media guy, he'll tell you straight up, half the post offices don't know the law. I know the law better than them, and I live in England.
Yeah.
Right.
He's an American that lives in England, but yeah, he knows so much about all the law here. And, the postal employees and half the post offices don't know the law, even though they work with it every day or whatever. But he knows the law because he read it.
But
Yeah, I watched your warm up on the Masshole channel, and I just thought that was really childish. How they were like, no, the manager could tell you to leave. Like, listening, you're not listening. The only people, the postal inspector The postal police, those are the security force that they're talking about, not the manager who has, delicate sensibilities. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, the whole it's a logic issue, and that's all it is. And I'll tell you what if you ever get caught at the post office and get arrested, you got to go to court for it. This is the phrase you're going to want to know. At the bottom of that little paragraph where it says, or all personnel.
Your mic is cutting out again.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's really good.
Okay. At the bottom of that, it says other photographs may be taken only with the postmaster's permission. Now, the words other photographs imply that some photographs have already been given permission to be taken. And the reason we know this is because it doesn't say all photographs need the permission. Okay. So if you couldn't film in there at all, it would say all photographs must need permission by the postmaster or you can't take them, but it doesn't. It says other photographs. The only other photographs talked about before that were photographs for news, commercial, and advertising purposes, which may be taken in the foyers, corridors, and such.
And there's
Okay,
another thing there, the auditoriums, where they're asked to not be in the auditorium. If there's something going on in an auditorium at a post office, I've never seen a post office with an auditorium, and they ask you to leave that auditorium because there's like a controlled thing, that's the only time. But it doesn't apply to, they can ask you to leave if you're in the foyer corridor. It's the auditorium part.
Yeah, there was one audit, I can't remember who it was, and they were, I know, it was Who's Your News Now. And they were trying to imply that the area where they were selling the stuff was not the lobby. But if you go to the U.S. Postal Service's website, it refers to the products that are sold in the lobby. And it's the lobby, is the lobby product sales program. So that's obviously the lobby. And they were trying to say, well, that's not the lobby. Well, yeah, actually it is.
Right. And the thing about it is the law is all about words and how they're used and when they're used and what words are used. And it's times difficult for people to understand, plain English. But there's a reason why they say you got to hire a lawyer, even though law is written in English. It's because it's hard to understand because they change words. They use words and you think they mean something and they mean something totally different. And that's why it's called legalese. And that's why it has its own dictionary, because the terms that we've come to know from talking on the street, and, those are not the same terms used in the law. And it's real tricky. It's real tricky. But if you got a basic understanding of how it goes about, and if you know where to find the information, that's, lawyers don't go to school to know law, to learn law. They go to learn procedure and research, so they can research the law and they know the procedure in court. But they're no law expert until 20 years after they practice in one specific field.
Yeah.
Because there's so much law. But in law school, the majority of it spent learning research and procedures of how to deal in court.
Yeah, I have a friend who is studying law, and she had kind of like a breakdown because of her class, and it's about citing, the citing class, which is where you have to go back through all the case law that you read and go through the procedure of writing it down and being able to cite it for a legal document. And that's a really tough class. And she had a nervous breakdown almost because of it. It's tough. Tough stuff. It's not easy.
Never Gunny Grunt.
Like understanding
right, guys,
Shakespeare.
I got to bounce. So thanks again, everybody, for coming out Saturday night. I'm out of here. Thursday night, 8 p.m. Don't forget. And
Thanks,
we'll
Captain.
keep you guys up to date.
Yep.
Yep,
All right, Cap.
Rights, eyes, indie news on the street. Thank you guys for hanging out with me.
Man,
Take
glad
care.
to do it.
Yeah, I didn't see that one, Noli. If that was a fact, I didn't see that he had gotten timed out earlier. So, oh,
Okay, Miami Beach says
Sounds
take
good.
away my wrench till I can regain control of my phone.
Okay. Well, maybe I don't know how to do that. It's not giving me complete options to do that here.
So, eyes. What's your background? What before you got into all this, or at least what you're willing to say?
I started off putting stickers on bananas. Then I moved on to condom testing. And now
I guess I have a IT background.
Oh, cool.
I have a construction background. I have a engineering background, not professionally trained engineering in college or anything, but engineering stuff. I used to be a Yankee. Now I'm a Southerner, I guess.
You know the difference between a Yankee and a damn Yankee, right?
Yeah, a Yankee comes to visit, a damn Yankee doesn't leave.
Exactly. I lived in South Carolina for a long time. Yeah, I heard that a lot.
Yes, I do have a flag background. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, what else? I don't know.
Okay. I just.
I guess I'll wait. I guess I'll wait until I get doxxed 2 or 3 more times, possibly, and then I'll bring some more of it out.
Okay, that's fine. I
I guess.
Yeah. Well, I know. Wright used to. He was a. Well, I guess there's no such thing as a former Marine, right?
no, there's a former Marine, but not an ex-Marine, unless you.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Right.
Unless you're discharged, right? Dishonorably.
Dishonorably, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah, I was in artillery. Nothing great. No heroism or anything like that.
Well, you're right there where they're blasting away.
In the rear with the gear, sitting on the trail like a bench.
I was just watching a video last night of some cool weapons that you probably would have enjoyed.
Yeah.
One of them was a Swiss made. I think it was Swiss made that shoots 1.3 million rounds per minute.
Holy crap!
And it doesn't do it by
powder,
right? It does it with electricity, and it's got like several barrels with several bullets lined up in a row. Yeah,
that's a rail gun.
No, it wasn't a rail gun. It wasn't.
No?
It wasn't a rail gun.
Okay.
It still used explosives, but it ignited them electronically. And
no, we don't. I'm sorry.
amazing.
Save the Humans asked if it was mech. No, I was on the M1908 medium towed.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It was like a, you've seen like a LED light display. It looked kind of like that, only it was all tubes with chambers of bullets or projectiles underneath them, and it just boom, just throws this massive wall of metal at you. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty amazing stuff, like our artillery rounds. We had the 106 recoilless rifle was a blast. That's cool.
Man.
We had the Apers round, the anti-personnel round that would flower open and spit out all these little stilettos and take out a whole platoon of people. Then there was another one that would open up and spray everything with petroleum jelly, and then once it hit the deck, it would ignite everything. So it's like modern day napalm.
Yeah. Only, but not really napalm, right?
Yeah.
The amount of money we put into killing each other instead of putting ourselves someplace else or some other way.
Or just making sure that everybody in the world can eat a meal and be
Yeah,
happy.
that would be good too.
Yeah.
You got to figure how much they spent on that round to figure out how to make it open up and then spit other rounds out from inside of it.
MG-42 rocket trained with Germans. Oh, the rocked. Yes, the MG-42. I can imagine the zipper. I love that thing in Call of Duty. We have 49 people watching and 29 likes. We need 20 more likes.
Yep.
Is that how many likes we have? I don't know. It could be frozen on me.
For about 20-ish more minutes at the most.
All right. Yeah.
Mine says 47, but yeah, close enough. 46 watching and 50 likes.
Oh.
51 likes. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh.
Any other questions, comments, agreements,
Hey,
disagreements?
there's Wolfie Gladly.
All right. Wolfie, everybody has to go watch Wolfie's latest video. He put this together so well. He made some phone calls trying to get his phone back, which they stole from him.
They did.
And
Uh-oh, what happened to Rice?
Yeah, right. We're not hearing you, man.
Oh, there he goes. He's back
There you
now.
there we go. Yeah,
you
he did a great job of putting together all those phone calls with the cartoons in that audit video. Check it out. It's great editing.
That's I need to learn how to do that. Get better at the editing. What's everybody
Yes.
use?
Yes, Noli, I agree. It is.
Wolfie is getting screwed. I know. Everybody go watch that because, go watch his last few videos. They've been great. And YouTube does that every now and then. They'll just not recommend people's videos, even though they're awesome. Like
Yep.
Wolfies always are.
Oh,
They do that a lot for some reason.
Yeah.
Disabilities.
Wolfie takes care of his mom too. He's been doing good at that. So.
All right. Good night, GA.
All right, GA. Take it easy, bro.
I'll watch.
So, any other questions, comments, agreements, disagreements?
Yep. If not, I think we may bring her down tonight.
All right. Hey,
James
thanks,
Richards asked a question twice. No answer. I'm going back up to check yours, James Richards, unless you want to type it again. Did anybody see that? I don't see it.
Let's see.
Yeah, sometimes if you put a link in there or something, what were the other things, the precautions you were saying? Eyes on the state?
Foul language, links, anything like that.
Oh, talk drones? Yeah, there's a new drone I just learned about, the DJI Tello, Tello, and it's like a little tiny drone and you can fly around your house, and I think it's like $80. And it's got the camera and stuff, so if you've got that good Chinese technology, I would tell people go buy the DJI Mavic Mini for $400 because you don't pay $1,200 for it, but you get the same stuff. But now you get it for $80.
Wow.
I'll take a sponsorship, DJI. Xie
Me too. Me too.
Ni hao. Wan li chan chan. See, that's the extent of my Chinese. I know how to say Great Wall of China. Thank you. And hello.
Yeah. My wife actually teaches English to Chinese students.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But she doesn't know Chinese.
Nope.
It's
Neither
all
do English.
yeah. It's all
Are they
English.
getting one over on her in class? Are they
No,
like,
it's actually a really cool thing. It's through an organization called VIP Kid, and they, her background is education, but they, it's a one-on-one classes. They're 30 minutes long or 25 minutes long, and it's pretty cool.
Is it all virtual?
It's all online. they're in China and she's here, and they're 12 hours difference than us. So it's either for them, it's either before school, which would be at night for her, or it's at night for them, and it's early morning for her. Like, when we're on daylight savings time, she's up like at 6 in the morning or something. It's really early. So
Ding.
they don't do daylight savings time. So
Save the Human. You have a 180 quad on FPV. Cool.
I still
There's
didn't
an app that you could pay $20 for, the Litchi app, and you could just put that on. I have these virtual reality goggles, and then you could put your phone in there, and it's VR flying your
This is
drone.
what it is. Noli got it for us. Now I'm putting the comments together here on what is where. So this
Jeffrey
was
Winehouse. That's the guy who was shot. He was shot and put in jail for 20 years. And I think Wolfie Gladley should be able to come on and tell us more about that, because
good idea.
I know he knows more about him. This guy had his computers and stuff taken. His laptop, I guess, was confiscated for some BS trumped up charge. So they had to give it back, but they were all salty. They set this guy up. They put him in they set up a trap. They said, yeah, you could come get your laptop. So he goes there, and this was I forgot what state, Virginia, I'm not sure, but it's an open carry state, and he had his gun on him, and the police officer said, hey, well, why do you have that gun on you? He goes, why do you have that gun on you? And the guy says, because I'm authorized by the state. He goes, well, I'm authorized by the state. And then that's when the cop pulled out his gun. He goes, you're going to have to shoot me if you want to disarm me. And they shot him right there without hesitation. Bam, 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 bam. 5 shots.
Good night.
They got him in the head. They got him in the chest a couple times. Somehow this guy miraculously recovers, and they throw him in jail for deadly assault on a police officer or something. He never unholstered his weapon. They shot him to kill him, and then they threw him in jail for 20 more years to shut him up.
Wow.
So does that answer your question?
That's just nuts.
That's what I've seen and the little I know of the story. James Richards.
Missouri it was in.
Missouri, yeah. So is that what you heard also? Or did you know about that, James? Like, that's what I got from what I saw. Johnny 5-0 and James Freeman definitely have more on that story. They're pretty much the only people who are talking about it. Thank you for bringing it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that needs to be refreshed. We get tied up in all these things, but then like horrible things like that happen, and it's horrible for a couple weeks, and then a month, and then it starts dwindling off, and now nobody's talking about it except if somebody mentions it here, except for James Freeman. That guy always talks about it. I haven't heard Johnny 5-0, but I'm sure he does too.
Let's see what this comes up with.
Okay, material misstatement crime. To get a license for private travel, that's for carriers.
Whoa.
License invalid, rights violated? Question mark, question mark. That's out of my wheelhouse.
Here's something that was posted on September 4th that I just found that says the officer who shot him was previously diagnosed with extreme PTSD and tested positive for mind-altering drugs immediately after his shooting. Yet prosecutors hid the information from the defense lawyers.
Oh.
And that's from here. Right here. Oh, I didn't want to print it. I wanted to make it bigger.
That's
See if I can make it big enough. There.
Man.
Yep.
Twice in the head. Yeah.
Man. They never suspected him to survive, that's for sure.
There should be a Brady list of attorneys too. I bet we'll find a whole bunch of them to put on that list in Polk County, where they keep on saying they're arresting all these bad men, that they've only convicted one. Out of the hundreds last year, only one was convicted.
Here's a link to that story too, if anybody wants to see it. I'll post that out. Oh no, I didn't want that. Hang on.
The bad people that I was talking about that they let go are sex traffickers and child pornographers.
Yeah.
In Polk County, they always grandstand and claim that they arrested all these people, but again, just one lousy conviction last year.
Oh,
And that's because they're lawyers and judges getting their wheels greased by the main guy with all the money, and also the cops who are in on it. The cops know that if they do some procedural thing wrong, that it's going to get thrown out. Wouldn't you agree, Indie News Now? Have you heard stories of that? They're like, yeah, we don't really want to bust this guy, but we have to make the arrest so we can make it not stick.
Yeah, we had a situation here in Indianapolis 2 or 3 years ago. A police officer was going out of his area to the scene of something, mainly just to be nosy, in his patrol car, plowed into the back of a couple of motorcyclists that were at a stoplight, killed, I can't remember, killed both of them or at least one of them. And he was intoxicated. He had booze in the vehicle. He was on duty. He was drunk. Well, they ended up took him to in Indiana. If they're going to draw blood, they're supposed to have a phlebotomist do it. Well, they took him somewhere where they had a nurse do it that was not a phlebotomist, and they were hoping that would get thrown out. Well, the judge decided he was going to use that. Well, then suddenly it got left out of the refrigerator, and so that contaminated it. And just one error after another. He still ended up going to jail for a few years, but not near as long as he should have. While he was awaiting trial, after he was convicted, but waiting for sentencing, it was in another DUI accident. This time, it was only him that got hurt. He plowed into an embankment and tore up his car. But they do everything they can to let these guys off. And the police originally they weren't even going to try to charge him with anything, but it was there were other people there that were pushing it, and that's why they went ahead and drew blood and so on. But they were, the officers on the scene were like, yeah, well, he seemed a little dazed, but I think he was just in shock because of the accident. And he had all the classic symptoms of being. If it had not been a police officer, they would have assumed he was drunk, and he was.
Yeah. Yeah, they that's the thin blue line,
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have Dinky Doo with a question that says, and I think I've seen other people write this exactly how you wrote it. So Dinky Doo, if you have another account, we're on to you. If there are amendments, and that is from the word amend, which means to change, so why do people hang on them? Maybe the founding fathers were deliberate in their words. Okay. The best analogy I could think of is, have you ever seen the movie The Breakfast Club? It's a great movie from the 80s, but they're thinking about redoing it. And I don't think that should be done. Once you make something really good, really well,
Don't mess it up.
Don't if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the same. They were deliberate with their words, and they were pretty, they had foresight, to know how is this going to hold the test of time, and they did it.
Can I give you a little history about why we have the Bill of Rights instead of it being in the actual body of the Constitution?
Right. Yeah, it took place, 20 years
so
later.
well, the reason, yeah, well, it wasn't.
3 years,
Yeah, it was not real long after. But
3 or 4. Yeah.
here's why. It was a debate between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. And so on the one side, you had people saying, well, look, the Constitution is clear. This is all the government can do. We really don't need anything else to restrict the government, because if it's not in here, they're not going to do it. On the other side, they're saying, well, look, we know that these are still people that we're dealing with. And over time, they're going to try to push the limits and test it. And so
Thomas Jefferson and James Madison started
Right.
the Democratic Republic Party to go against the Federalists, I believe.
Right. So they eventually decided that, okay, what we'll do is we'll pass the Constitution as is, and then we'll come up with this Bill of Rights. And then the last bill, the 10th in the bill, the last amendment in the Bill of Rights, the 10th Amendment, was, by the way, if there's anything else that is not specifically said that the government can do, then you can't do that. Anything else is,
You defer to the people's sovereignty.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why we have that, and I'm glad that they put that in place.
So, closed-minded people can't mess it up for everyone else with their closed-minded thinking. They thought pragmatically, and so should you. If you want to amend something, just because it has the word amendment on its name, that's not a reason to amend something. You amend something because there's a problem with it, and you need to fix it. Like Thomas Jefferson said, we do have to change our laws, or else a little kid will still be wearing the same suit, or a grown man will still be wearing the same suit as he did as a kid. But we're not talking about, the marriage laws or things like that, maybe we do grow with time and understand equality for all, equal rights for all. But that's another topic. We're talking about the first Bill of Rights, our first law, that covers the 5 things, the most important things to hold the rest of our government straight. They're not going to change that. And our second law, nobody's going to come and take your guns. 2/3 aren't going to vote for that to happen. And if they do, nobody's going to be able to come and take our guns. So stop fear-mongering about gun grabbing. Both sides fear-monger.
Well,
and
it's not that they don't want to take our guns, it's they don't have the ability to.
They will never have that ability to.
Right.
Because that's just our second law that is well written, and we just have to adhere to it. We have to be well regulated. I'm not saying put more stiff gun regulations. Make sure you're clean and ready as your weapon is clean and ready.
Yeah. Well equipped is really what the way that word was used at the time. The way we need to view the Constitution, the way the Constitution was written, was not any kind of restriction on the people. It was only a restriction on government. These are the limits of the government. And the whole well-regulated militia is that, look, there needs to be a well-regulated militia. So in order for that to happen, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So the idea is that if the populace is armed, then when we need to raise up a militia, there'll be plenty of people who know how to use guns, and they'll have them. Because in the early days, it wasn't the government that supplied the weaponry for the militia and for the military. They mostly brought their own.
Yeah. Hey, Dinky Doo, no, I wasn't saying that you were fear-mongering. I was saying there are people who will say they're going to come and take your guns, just like, other things. But not you, man. Keep on keeping on.
Yeah, I liked a couple. I watched a couple of your videos too, Dinky. You look cool. Or no, I'm sorry. Never mind. That was somebody else. Sorry.
Yeah, Dinky Doo, you have videos?
No. I was Noli D. That's Noli D.
Yeah, Noli D. She's a champion in our community. She I'll never forget how you helped out Jordan Cahill. That was awesome. You put her on with those folks and let her tell her story. that GA the Gladiator and I and News Now South Florida have been like watching her since when we first found her months ago, and it was pretty awesome. Like hearing her stories, like not awesome good, but it inspired awe. Like I can't believe that's happening. Hey, what's up, Southwest Florida Oath Accountability?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, we like her style. We like how she just like spits truth. And what you did, Noli, like I said, I'll never forget that. Thank you for helping her out and bringing her to more ears, because a lot of people need to hear her story. She's talking about the Lowell Women's Correctional Facility here in Florida. And if you're an ugly girl, you have to thanks, Metro World, you too. You have to get a pretty girl to do some sexual favors for the guard to actually help you. And now you owe the pretty girl, you owe the guard. It's just like 18 months later is when they finally discover that you have a malignant tumor in your breast. And that's when they help you. And it's too late and you die of cancer. That happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, it was messed up. She talked about how one girl would come in saying that, you know, she had to perform oral sex on a guard for a pack of cigarettes. And the guard walks away like, haha, I got that for a pack of cigarettes. And the girl's walking away, haha, this pack of cigarettes is going to get me $200. It's a horrible life, you know? Nobody deserves that. When our penal system, if you're taking someone's liberty, there's no reason to take their humanity or dignity away too, you know?
Yeah, that's sick.
That's why we have the Eighth Amendment.
Mm-hmm. You know, about the only one that we don't worry about much right now is the Third Amendment.
Right.
It's been a while since they violated that one.
Yeah. I had a sad upbringing in Italian culture. They freaking film everyone eating. No dialogue, just a camera setup. LOL. Oh, man. Well, buona serata.
Yep.
Buonasera, tutto il mondo. Buenas noches. Good Nacht. Konbanwa. How do you say goodbye? Well, she doesn't know how to speak Chinese, so I was going to ask you. Good night, everybody.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Let me be on here. I enjoy it, guys.
Certainly, anytime.
Thank you, brother. And
Love what
thanks,
you guys
everybody, for coming in. Thanks
Love
for
what you're
listening
doing.
to us.
Yep. Thank you to everybody for being here.
Oh, San Joaquin.
Hey.
Man, yeah, you've been a help to a lot of people.
Auf Wiedersehen. That's right.
San
That's a weird
Joaquin
way
is
of writing it.
San Joaquin's a big promoter of the channels.
Yes, he is.
I want to
San
get
Joaquin News Network and San Joaquin
Huge supporter.
Transparency.
my goal is
Yeah.
to get a San Joaquin worthy video.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
yes, there we go.
That's right here on my desk.
Yes,
All right,
yes.
so thanks
All right,
again
you
for
guys.
everybody stopping in. And next week, same bang time, same bang channel. 9 p.m.
Agreed.
All right.
Good night.
Good night, guys.